You already know something is off. You feel it in your stomach before you can even name it. That quiet dread when you check your phone and there is nothing there. That moment when you are sitting right next to him and somehow you have never felt more alone in your entire life. Something has shifted and you cannot quite put your finger on what it is, but your gut has already figured it out, even if your heart is refusing to catch up. Here is what nobody is going to tell you today. Most of what you are reading online about avoidant attachment is incomplete. It focuses on what avoidants do when they are pulling back temporarily, when they are scared, when they need space but still want you. But there is an entirely different set of behaviors that show up when an avoidant has made a decision, a quiet, internal, almost invisible decision that they are done. And these two things look so similar on the surface that most people confuse them completely. They wait around hoping for a comeback that is never going to come. They give more space thinking that is what he needs, when actually he has already left the building emotionally and nobody told you. So today we are going to get into the 4 signs, the specific ones, the ones that separate temporary withdrawal from permanent exit. And I want you to watch this to the end, because the 4th sign is the one that almost everyone misses, and it is honestly the most important one of all. Before we get into it, I want you to drop one word in the comments right now. Just one word. Tell me what brought you here today. Was it confusion? Was it pain? Was it that feeling that something is just not right anymore? One word. Drop it below. And then subscribe, because this is the kind of content that will save you months of your life if you let it. Now let us get into it. Sign number 1, he has stopped performing. I want you to think back to the beginning. Every person, no matter how avoidant they are, goes through a phase early in a relationship where they show up. Maybe it was not grand romantic gestures. Maybe it was something small. He remembered your coffee order. He texted first sometimes. He made a joke that told you he was paying attention to who you actually are as a person. Even the most emotionally unavailable man on earth will do some version of this in the beginning, because he is trying. He wants to win you over. He is interested, and that interest creates effort. Even if it is minimal effort, even if it is inconsistent effort, there is still something there. Now, here is what changes when an avoidant genuinely no longer wants you in his life. The performance stops completely. And I do not mean performance in a fake way. I mean the natural human behavior of trying to make a good impression on someone you care about. We all do this with people we value. We choose our words a little more carefully. We make small, thoughtful gestures. We pay attention. When an avoidant is just going through a withdrawal phase, pulling back because he is overwhelmed or scared, you will still see flickers of this. He might disappear for a few days and then come back with something that shows he was thinking about you. He might go quiet but then resurface with a reference to something you talked about weeks ago. There are still these little signals that say, I am still in here. I am still tracking you. I still care, even if I am bad at showing it. But when an avoidant has genuinely decided to exit the relationship, those flickers stop. The effort does not just decrease, it evaporates. He is not trying to impress you anymore. He is not trying to make you laugh. He is not referencing old conversations. He is not doing the small things that used to tell you he was paying attention. And here is the subtle part that most people miss. He is not doing this intentionally to hurt you. It is not cruelty. It is absence. He has mentally moved on, and the energy that used to go into showing up for you is simply gone, because his internal interest is gone. You will notice this first in the small things. The conversation that used to have a certain electricity to it now feels like a transaction. He answers your questions, but he does not ask any back. He responds, but he does not initiate. He is physically present sometimes, but he is essentially running on autopilot. There is no spark in the interaction, no playfulness, no curiosity about you. When you talk about something exciting in your life, he gives you a polite response instead of a genuine one. You can feel the difference, even if you cannot name it yet. The reason this is so painful is that it is not dramatic. He has not yelled at you. He has not said anything cruel. He has not done anything obviously wrong. He has just slowly, quietly stopped performing. And that slow, quiet stop is one of the clearest signals that an avoidant is no longer invested in keeping you around. What makes this particularly confusing is that avoidants are already low effort in many ways, even when they do want you. So you might be sitting there thinking, well, he has always been a bit distant. He has always been a bit reserved. Maybe this is just who he is. And that is a fair thought. But here is how you tell the difference. Compare the energy now to the energy in the first few weeks or months. Even the most avoidant man alive shows up with more energy at the beginning when he is interested. If you feel like you have been slowly watching the light go out over time, if the version of him that showed up early on feels like a completely different person from the version you are dealing with now, that matters. That tells you something real. Sign number 2. Your presence has become an inconvenience. This one is hard to hear, but I need you to stay with me because understanding this is going to help you enormously. Avoidants, even at their most withdrawn, even at their most shut down, still have a core of connection underneath. They want closeness even though closeness terrifies them. This is the central tension of avoidant attachment. There is a part of them that wants you there. And this means that even when they are pulling back, even when they are creating distance, your presence still registers as something positive on some level. They might not act on it. They might run from it, but it is there. When an avoidant no longer wants you in his life, something fundamentally different happens. Your presence stops being something he runs from because it is too intense. It becomes something he is simply indifferent to. Or worse, something that mildly irritates him. The energy around you being there has changed, and you can feel it even if he is being perfectly polite, even if he is not saying anything unkind. Here is what this looks like in practice. You suggest spending time together, and instead of the usual back and forth, or even the usual avoidant deflection, you get a flat response. He agrees, but he shows up to it with no enthusiasm. He goes through the motions. He is physically there, but his attention is elsewhere. He checks his phone more than he talks to you. He seems like he is waiting for it to be over. Or you notice that small interactions that used to feel neutral now seem to carry a slight edge of impatience. He sighs when you bring something up. He gives short, clipped answers when you ask a question. Not because he is processing something emotionally deep, but because he simply does not have the energy or desire to engage with you. There is a flatness there that goes beyond introversion or even avoidance. It is the flatness of someone who is mentally checked out. Now you might be thinking, well, maybe he is just stressed. Maybe he is going through something at work or with his family. And yes, stress does make people less present. This is absolutely true, and it is worth considering. But here is the difference. When someone is stressed, but still invested in you and the relationship, they tend to eventually circle back. They apologize for being distant. They acknowledge that they have not been present. They make a small gesture that says, I know I have been off and you still matter to me. Even avoidants who are terrible at emotional communication will do some version of this when the stress passes and they are still invested. When an avoidant no longer wants you around, the stress explanation becomes a permanent excuse rather than a temporary reality. There is always something. There is always a reason why he is distracted. There is always a reason why now is not a good time. The return to presence never comes because presence with you is no longer something he is working toward. He is not navigating toward you through the chaos of life. He is simply moving away from you. And the cruelest part of this sign is how invisible it is to everyone on the outside. From the outside looking in, he is not doing anything wrong. He is answering your texts. He is showing up when asked. He is not being obviously terrible. But you are living inside this dynamic and you can feel the truth of it. You can feel that you have gone from being someone he looked forward to seeing to being something he tolerates. And that feeling is information. It is painful information, but it is real. And it is telling you something you need to hear. Sign number 3. He has stopped growing the relationship in any direction. Relationships, even the most casual ones, even the ones that are not serious, have a natural forward motion to them. There are small progressions. Maybe it is inside jokes that build up over time. Maybe it is knowing each other's friends a little better. Maybe it is the deepening of conversation. Maybe it is just a comfortable rhythm that develops between two people who are consistently choosing each other. There is movement. There is evolution, even if it is slow. Avoidants who are scared of commitment but still want you will sabotage certain kinds of forward motion. They will pull back when things get too intense. They will avoid conversations about the future. They will not necessarily be introducing you to everyone in their life on a schedule, but there will still be some movement, some deepening, because interest drives connection forward, even when fear is trying to apply the brakes. You can feel the tension between those two forces in an avoidant who is scared but present, the push and pull, the coming close and the moving away. It is exhausting and confusing, but there is a quality of aliveness to it. When an avoidant has decided he no longer wants you in his life, the push disappears and only the pull remains. Except it is not even really a pull. It is just stillness. The relationship stops evolving in any direction whatsoever. It does not deepen. It does not get more comfortable. It does not develop new layers. It just sits there, static, like something that has been put on pause indefinitely. New experiences stop happening. You stop being brought into new parts of his life. Conversations stay on the surface because he is not investing in understanding you more deeply. Plans that used to get made now either do not happen or happen in such a perfunctory way that they feel meaningless. You are not building anything together anymore. Not even the small, invisible things that couples build without noticing. Here is a question I want you to ask yourself honestly. Think about your relationship 6 months ago versus right now. Is there anything new? Any new depth? Any new connection? Any new shared experience? Any new layer of understanding between you two? Or does it feel like you are just maintaining the same static position you were in months ago, maybe even slipping backward from it? If you are struggling to identify anything that has grown or developed or deepened, that is a significant sign. Because even slow-moving relationships have some forward motion when both people are still choosing each other. When one person has already decided they are done, everything stops. There is nothing to build toward when you have already decided you are leaving, even if you have not said it out loud yet. This is one of the signs that becomes obvious in retrospect, but is incredibly easy to rationalize in the moment. You tell yourself relationships go through phases. You tell yourself not everything has to be exciting all the time. You tell yourself maybe this is just what mature, stable love looks like. And sometimes that is true. But there is a difference between the comfortable, settled feeling of a relationship that has found its rhythm and the deadening stillness of a relationship that has been quietly abandoned by one of the people in it. The settled, comfortable feeling still has warmth in it. It still has small moments of genuine connection. It still has two people who, even on the most ordinary of days, have a quality of choosing each other. The deadening stillness does not have any of that. It just has two people occupying the same space out of habit or convenience or fear of the discomfort that comes with ending things. Sign number 4. He has become emotionally generous with everyone except you. Now, I told you this was the one that most people miss, and I meant it. This is the sign that is the hardest to spot and the hardest to accept, but it is perhaps the most revealing of all. So I need you to pay close attention here. One of the defining features of avoidant attachment is emotional guardedness. Avoidants protect themselves by keeping people at a certain distance. They are not naturally free and easy with their inner world. They tend to be selective about who they open up to and when and how. This is not a character flaw. It is a coping mechanism that developed early in life. But the result is that emotional generosity is relatively rare from an avoidant person. When they do give it, it means something. So here is what happens when an avoidant is withdrawing from you but still wants you in his life. His emotional guardedness gets directed inward, or it gets redirected slightly, but there is still a quality of closing off that happens across the board. He gets quieter with everyone, not just you. He retreats a little from the world in general, because when an avoidant gets overwhelmed in a relationship, the overwhelm tends to cause a general pulling back, a kind of emotional hibernation. But when an avoidant has decided he no longer wants you specifically, something very different and very telling happens. He stops being guarded with everyone else. The emotional energy that he used to put into your connection gets redirected outward toward other people in his life. He becomes more talkative with his friends. He opens up more with his colleagues. You notice him laughing freely with other people in a way he has not laughed with you in weeks or months. He is engaged and present and warm with others while remaining flat and distant specifically in your presence. This is not necessarily about another romantic interest, though it can be. It is about where his emotional investment is going. When someone has decided internally that a relationship is over, they stop directing their energy into it. And that energy has to go somewhere. So it goes into the other relationships in their life. They become better friends, more engaged family members, more fun at social gatherings, because they are not pouring anything into you anymore. If you pay attention, you will see it. He will tell a story to a group of friends with enthusiasm and animation, and then look in your direction and flatten out. He will have a long, warm phone call with someone in his life, and then give you one-word answers when you try to have a conversation. He will show up for other people's moments, their events, their celebrations, their hard times, with an openness and presence that he simply no longer offers you. This one cuts deep because it removes the excuse that he is just not an emotionally available person. When you see that he is emotionally available, just not to you, that tells you something very specific and very clear. It tells you that his guardedness with you is no longer about fear of intimacy in general. It is specifically about you. He has made a decision, even if he has not said it, even if he has not acted on it externally yet. Internally, he has already moved on and his emotional resources are going elsewhere. Now, I want to take a moment here because you might be reading all of this and feeling a cocktail of emotions that is really hard to sit with. There might be pain. There might be confusion. There might be that particular ache that comes from recognizing something you were hoping was not true. And I want to say something important before we go any further. Recognizing these signs is not the same as giving up. Recognizing these signs is the beginning of reclaiming your clarity. Because here is the thing about avoidant dynamics specifically. They are designed, not intentionally but functionally, to keep you confused. The ambiguity, the intermittent withdrawal, the moments of warmth followed by coldness, all of it creates a psychological fog that makes it nearly impossible to trust your own perceptions. And when you cannot trust your own perceptions, you stay, you wait, you hope, you try harder, you give more of yourself to someone who has already quietly left. Naming what you are seeing is how you cut through that fog. It is how you stop giving your very best self to someone who is not present enough to receive it. And it is how you start making decisions that are actually aligned with what you deserve, rather than what your fear of loss is telling you to do. So what do you do with these signs if you are seeing them? Here is what I want you to think about. First, stop trying to solve this with more effort. This is the most common mistake, and I see it constantly. When someone feels a partner pulling away, The natural instinct is to lean in harder, to try more, to give more, to make yourself more available, more attractive, more accommodating, more anything. And in many relationship situations, that is a reasonable response. But with an avoidant who has already internally decided to exit, more effort from you does not rekindle his interest. It actually accelerates his withdrawal. Because the more pressure he feels from your pursuit, the more confirmed his desire to leave becomes. You cannot effort your way back into someone's genuine desire. Second, get honest with yourself about what you have been tolerating. When we are in the thick of an avoidant dynamic, we often do not notice how much we have contracted ourselves, how much we have stopped asking for what we need, how much we have normalized not being fully chosen, how much we have told ourselves that his way of showing up is just how he is and we can work with it. Take a moment to look at the version of yourself in this relationship. Is that the version of yourself you are proud of? Are you more anxious than usual? Are you constantly second-guessing yourself? Are you editing what you say and how you say it to avoid triggering his withdrawal? Are you monitoring his moods and behavior like a meteorologist trying to predict weather patterns? If the answer to any of those is yes, then the relationship has already cost you something significant. The question is what you are going to do about it. Third, decide what your non-negotiable baseline is and actually hold it. Not as a strategy to win him back, not as a tactic, as a genuine expression of what you need in order to feel good in a relationship. You need someone who is growing with you. You need someone whose presence feels good rather than uncomfortable. You need someone who is emotionally available to you, not just to everyone else in their life. These are not high-maintenance demands. These are basic human needs in a partnership. And if this relationship is not meeting them, that is important information about whether this relationship is the right place for you. Fourth, and this is important, do not wait for a formal ending. Avoidants who have checked out often do not initiate clean endings. They let things fizzle. They become distant enough that eventually the relationship just kind of dissolves. They do not have the conversation. They do not give you the closure you deserve. They are passive in their exit, which means you end up in this excruciating in-between state where you are technically still together, but functionally already apart. And the longer you stay in that in-between state, waiting for him to either come back or officially leave, the longer you are putting your life on hold for someone who has already made his choice. You are allowed to make your own choice. You are allowed to look at the evidence in front of you and decide what you want to do with it. You do not have to wait for him to deliver a verdict on your relationship. You can deliver your own. Now, here is something I want to address because I know it is going to come up for a lot of you. Some of you are going to be thinking, but what if I am wrong? What if I am misreading the signs? What if he is just going through something and I give up right when he was about to come back? Before we finish, let's talk about why it's so hard to let go even when you see these signs. Most of you already know something is wrong. You've felt it for a while. So why stay? Part of it is investment. The time, energy, memories, and future you imagine together make walking away feel impossible. But staying doesn't recover what you've already given. It only costs you more time. Part of it is identity. Relationships become part of how we see ourselves. Letting go isn't just losing a person, it's grieving the version of yourself and the future you thought you were building. And part of it is hope. Real hope is based on evidence. Wishful thinking is based on wanting something to be true. Learning the difference is one of the most important emotional skills you'll ever develop. If you've recognized these patterns for a long time and still can't leave, don't judge yourself. That's attachment. When we're bonded to someone, even an unhealthy bond, our minds fight to keep it alive because it feels familiar. Breaking that pattern takes time. It takes support. And it starts with seeing things clearly. So let's bring it all together. The 4 signs are simple. He has stopped making an effort. Your presence feels like an inconvenience. The relationship is no longer moving forward, and his emotional warmth is going everywhere except to you. These signs aren't about assuming the worst. They're about paying attention to consistent patterns. If you're seeing several of them over weeks or months, it's worth taking seriously, because you deserve someone who is excited to show up for you, someone who is building something with you, someone whose emotional energy moves toward you, not away from you. See clearly, trust yourself, and make your next decision from honesty, not fear. If this resonated with you, leave one word in the comments that describes where you are right now, and subscribe for more conversations about love, attachment, and the patterns that shape our relationships.